he got asked about Tulsi Gabbard. And the reporter, the journalist said, there are foreign allies who are very nervous about sharing intelligence with her. And he said, oh, I don't know. I'm surprised to hear it. I heard that for the first time the other day. I mean, I think she's a great American. I think she's got tremendous common sense. This woman with tremendous common sense, Tulsi Gabbard, went to Syria, met with Assad, legitimized him as a member of Congress, then came back here and advocated for him. You're telling me this woman went over there, came back and advocated for him, and she's got common sense? Our foreign allies are right to be nervous about sharing intelligence with her.
Well, she's a weird one because she has so many characteristics that you would think that everyone who's a progressive would want as a president. She is a veteran who twice served overseas, twice deployed. She's been a veteran for a long time congresswoman. She's from Hawaii. She's Hawaiian. You would say she's a woman of color.
They say she's a woman of color.
She's a very articulate, rock-solid woman, and they've tried to find a bunch of dirt on her, and they can't. They don't know what...
Nobody saw this coming. A $50 million lawsuit, a daytime television institution suddenly scrambling for legal cover, and Joe Rogan sitting ringside with a front row seat and absolutely zero sympathy. What happens when you mix the most polarizing podcast host in America, the most opinionated table in daytime television, and a former congresswoman who decided she was done talking and started filing? You get the most explosive legal collision daytime TV has ever produced. Tulsi Gabbard didn't clap back. She didn't tweet. She didn't go on a rival show. She went straight to court, and the shockwave is still traveling. This isn't just a lawsuit. This is a reckoning. And nobody is walking away from it clean.
And we'll get to that. I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts, because recently on your show here...
I was just going to get to that.
Good. Helping you out.
You want me to ask you?
No, look, some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse, or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on.
It finally happened. Someone took the View seriously enough to sue them. Not with a strongly worded statement. Not with a passive-aggressive social media post designed to generate sympathy clicks. With a $50 million legal sledgehammer that is shaking the foundations of daytime television in a way that network executives never genuinely believed was possible. Tulsi Gabbard had reached her limit, done being casually tossed around by a table full of hosts who treated her reputation like disposable content, like a gossip column footnote they could pick up and put down whenever the segment needed energy. So instead of firing back on social media where it disappears in 24 hours, she called her attorney. The bluff that The View had been running for years was officially called, with a subpoena attached.
Yeah, did you watch the episode where Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said?
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, like, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, like, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read, like, a book.
And there's versions of.
If you're following this story and want more breakdowns like it, hit subscribe right now, because this one gets significantly better from here. It didn't take long for Joe Rogan to plant himself directly in the middle of this burning wreckage and make himself completely comfortable. He laughed through the entire spectacle like a man who had been watching a house of cards wobble for years and finally watched the whole thing come down at once. Rogan, with all the subtlety of a wrecking ball wearing podcast merchandise, tore into the View hosts with the kind of energy that made clear he had been waiting for exactly this moment and he was just getting warmed up.
She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
Well, I guess we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing.
Let's rewind for a moment, because context matters here. The View has spent years building an empire out of firing off half-formed opinions at full volume before anyone in the building has bothered to verify a single fact. Somewhere along the way, they decided Tulsi Gabbard represented a threat worth targeting, to democracy, to the narrative, to whatever framework they were operating inside on any given Tuesday morning. And while they were busy converting what critics argue was actual defamation into casual table talk, sandwiched between celebrity gossip and cooking segments, Tulsi was doing something entirely different. She was building a legal case. Nobody in that studio saw it coming. Nobody was prepared for it. And that gap between their confidence and their preparation is exactly what made the moment so striking when it finally arrived.
Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why,
I mean, you're on Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years. I deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost. That's why I ran for Congress.
She didn't storm the set. She didn't launch a social media campaign. She didn't write an op-ed designed to generate sympathy. She filed a lawsuit, composed, calculated, and backed by documented evidence. The kind of legal action that comes from someone who has been keeping receipts, working with counsel, and waiting for exactly the right moment to convert what was done to her in a television studio into something a judge could evaluate. While the View hosts were still perfecting their dramatic pauses and perfecting the art of talking over each other, Tulsi was already several steps ahead. And Joe Rogan, the moment that lawsuit became public, reacted like a man who had been predicting this outcome for years and was experiencing the deep satisfaction of being proven right in real time. Rogan has spent years methodically identifying and challenging the intellectual dishonesty he sees embedded in mainstream media. The View, in his view, represents that problem in its most concentrated and visible form. When the $50 million suit dropped, his response was immediate. Finally, someone showed up to this conversation with actual legal standing instead of just a louder voice. Tulsi didn't just bring a threat. She brought a statement that the sandbox rules of daytime television do not override real-world consequences.
Might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment of service.
Rogan didn't just celebrate the lawsuit, he used it as a launching pad to dissect how The View actually operates. He compared their debate style to a Thanksgiving family argument, except less fact-checked and with more commercial breaks. The formula, he argued, is almost embarrassingly simple. Take a current event, add unchecked assumption, stir in personal bias, serve it loud to an audience conditioned to respond to volume rather than substance, and repeat daily without consequence. Until now, he exposed how the show had built a comfortable environment where unfounded accusations get dressed up as moral concern, as if dramatic hand-clapping counted as credible sourcing. And then he landed the point that made everything else stick. Tulsi Gabbard is not someone you casually defame. Former congresswoman, military veteran, someone with far more real policy experience than most of those hosts have ever bothered to verify in a single segment.
You on The View.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been overwhelming my past couple days. So I just went in there, did my thing. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know who Sunny Hostin was. I actually still really don't know. So I wasn't expecting necessarily for her to kind of try to ambush me in that way and attack my character in that way.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies-infested henhouse.
What The View did wasn't just a bad take. Critics argue it was a calculated career hit job wrapped in the packaging of righteous concern. And Tulsi's lawsuit delivered one message to the entire production: say that to a judge. No press tour, no sympathy segment, straight to the courtroom. Rogan shifted from amused observer to full advocate because for him this was never just about Tulsi personally. It was about landing a documented hit on a media machine that has survived for years by treating spin as substance and volume as credibility. He cheered the move because it accomplished what millions only discuss privately: it converted frustration into formal legal accountability. In his framing, The View isn't a political commentary show. It's a morality performance where facts are optional and whoever talks loudest wins. Tulsi understood that the only way to beat that game was to stop playing it on their terms entirely.
View has to be, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin.
You think it's deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person, and what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so.
Meanwhile, The View kept operating as if legal consequences were something that happened to other institutions. But here's what Rogan kept returning to: they didn't make a throwaway joke about a celebrity. They made specific claims that directly damaged a real person's livelihood and professional reputation. And for once, that person had the resources and the resolve to respond through proper legal channels. Rogan joked that the show might now need a legal advisor seated directly at the table, right between the wardrobe consultant and whoever is supposed to verify facts before they go to air. Because when you've been packaging outrage as entertainment for so long that the line between opinion and defamation becomes genuinely blurry inside your own studio, eventually the outside world stops finding it entertaining and starts finding it actionable.
Shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking.
Tulsi operated with cold precision throughout: no yelling, no dramatics, no emotional appeal designed to generate sympathy clicks. Just a legal filing that transformed The View's comfortable platform into a potential witness stand. Rogan's takeaway was simple and hard to argue with: just because you're on television doesn't mean you're exempt from consequences. Just because you have a studio audience doesn't make your take legally defensible. This moment is bigger than a personality clash. It's a test of whether institutional media reach equals institutional immunity. And based on everything playing out, the answer is finally starting to look like no. The View never saw it coming. They assumed their established standing would protect them indefinitely. Courtrooms, it turns out, don't run on studio lighting and applause. They run on facts, evidence, and accountability. Three things Rogan argued the show struggles with the moment the teleprompter runs out of prepared outrage.
Is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her, and they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
Rogan's mockery carried genuine weight underneath the laughter because it came with a larger point that extends far beyond this case. Tulsi's lawsuit wasn't a stunt. It was a warning shot that he argued would echo through every other studio operating under the assumption that reach equals immunity. We have reached the moment where recklessly false statements on national television are no longer just an ethical problem. They're a financial one, especially when your target has been keeping documentation and has the patience to let the legal process run its course. The lawsuit converts the gossip segment into potential Exhibit A, the comfortable couch into a witness stand, and the assumption of consequence-free broadcasting into something that urgently needs reassessment. Someone was always going to push back eventually. Tulsi made sure it arrived in a form impossible to dismiss with a clever segment or a strategic apology.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump is Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in dragon.
This lawsuit kicked open a door that has been sealed far too long, and the message travels well beyond this specific case. It tells every media personality who has ever treated a public figure's reputation as disposable content: some of the people you target keep receipts, work with legal counsel, and have the resolve to respond formally. For too long, the operating assumption has been that being wrong on television carries no real cost, only ratings implications. That assumption now has a $50 million price tag attached to it. And Rogan, the man who built his platform on actually engaging with ideas seriously, was watching this with the satisfaction of someone who has been making this exact argument for years. The broader message is simple and increasingly impossible to ignore: reckless statements on television aren't just ethically indefensible anymore. They're financially catastrophic. particularly when your target documents everything. Tulsi's move was legal, but more than that, it was symbolic. And Joe Rogan was ready to amplify every second of it. As for The View, no studio applause is loud enough to drown out what's coming next. Rogan didn't even need to raise his voice to make the point. He just laughed, pointed at the filing, and let the truth handle the rest. The real daytime drama isn't on television anymore. It's in the courtroom. And the opening arguments are just getting started. If this breakdown hit differently, subscribe and stay with us, because this story is far from over.